I'm so out of practice with this shit. It's
Oh,
unreal.
we're both out of practice with this shit, and we are now live on UK Fletch as well as on the old Huge Blokey channel of Doom.
I can't even use Discord properly. I just tried to fucking link back to Twitch on it, and I ended up linking the Twitter, which links the Discord. Oh, Jesus. This is why I can't have nice things.
This is why none of us can have nice things. It's as simple as that.
Mate,
It's just a shit show.
rough as guts. Yeah, especially when I'm involved.
I'm happy with it. He's fine. He's fine. So, welcome everyone. If there is anybody actually watching, apart from Alaf, who's obviously watching because he's talking to us in Bloke's chat, which is very, very nice. I've got my chat off due to the fact that I'm just going to get abuse hurled at me, or nobody will be watching me at all.
As long as my mum shows up, that's already more than the last amount of people that showed up in my last stream.
Well, you know. So I've enabled my chat window just in case, and nobody is actually chatting at all, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. I didn't expect anybody to. I've got next to no followers in any case.
You'd be right. I'm missing your LF. Honestly, man, like it's been a conversation that me and Fletchy have been having for the last couple of days, and that's why we're doing this, because I think it's hitting people a hell of a lot harder than I think most of us thought it would, to be honest. How's that? I just get sent that from my wife. Very professional outfit here. Shorts, one thong, and a fucking sneaky ninja picture. What do you do? What do you do?
What can you do? It's definitely live Pepe's.
Fucking, that's the story of my life. It's funny, Aleph, because I was only thinking of you not yesterday, the day before, because the kids at the school that I work with, they all call me either Mr. Tree or Mr. Bloke. And one of the kids, I'm 99% certain I'm going to make myself cry in a second. One of the kids was running past and he's, hi, Bloke. And without even twitching, I was like, hi, Aleph. And then he kept running and I was like, oh, you dickhead. And then I actually realised what I'd done. I'm like, oh, God damn it. In the fields. Because that was Friday just gone our time, which makes it like Thursday night before they'd made the unofficial announcement that, you know.
Before we get going, right, I'm going to do an introduction because I am actually going to cut this into a proper podcast, right, at some point.
So should I get all my fuck shits and cunts out the way now?
No. We're going to do this as well, it's going to be not suitable for anybody really, let alone work. Right, so hello everyone and welcome to, after quite a long hiatus, the Parting Glass podcast, the official, well, kind of official it is now because Bloke's on it, Club Tito's podcast. So just to bring everybody up to speed, if you've just joined us or you're joining us now or listening to this in the far distant future, we are on, I don't even know what date it is anymore. It's the 25th of October 2020. We are still in the middle of as my friends on What Culture Wrestling call, the ongoing global bastard. And BlizzCon isn't happening. On Friday evening, Sarah Lynn, our very good friend over at Blizzard, who's the director of BlizzCon, went on Twitter and said, we didn't ever announce this, but this would have been the Friday of BlizzCon, and it kicked us all massively in the feels. We all felt like we'd gone about 20 rounds with Georges St. Pierre and Mike Tyson and
honestly felt like I got
Fraser and everybody all at once. I think.
Dick punched by a bulldozer, I think I said to someone.
So me and Bloke got to talking on Saturday morning my time, Saturday evening his time, and decided we would do an impromptu live stream, and we're going to turn this into a podcast as well. So I might even flip it and put it onto YouTube as well, and we'll start doing that.
Ooh, the dirty tube.
Dirty tubes. So
it's good to be back, though, man.
It is. It's very
I've
good.
got to say.
We're missing the Chavaduck due to the fact that I kind of wanted to. I know that she's been struggling as much as anybody, and we've been talking about getting the podcast back up and running. So I thought, well, if we do this one, then she ain't got no excuse.
It might relight the fire that burns in her loins. That sounded a hell of a lot worse than what it sounded when I said it in my head before I said it.
Yeah, I did think whether or not you'd over-egged that pudding, as we say over here.
Oh, close. Jesus Christ.
This podcast will be not suitable for work, just to cover our ass due to the fact that we are likely to swear. We are talking about BlizzCon past and where we've come from and what we were going to do and what we're not going to tell you what we're going to do.
I've found a workaround, and now instead of saying it, I can just hold it up.
Yeah, so the Northern Territories of Australia is a wonderful place, and they've got this fantastic "See You in the NT" ad campaign. They've been running for a number of years now, I believe, as well.
They would love to have more tourism there, and I think it's quite friendly of the locals to, we'll see you in the NT.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful stubby holder. It was a very treasured gift from a dear friend of mine.
And while we're doing shameless cheap plugs, I know that Ozzyman's got about 5 million stubby holders. Every video he puts out on YouTube at the moment, he's plugging the things. So please, if you need a stubby holder, go and help Ozzyman out. I think he's got a warehouse full of the fucking things. So there you go. Right, okay. BlizzCon, bloke. BlizzCon. Let's get down to brass tacks. So there we all were at the start of the year thinking that, we're off to BlizzCon in October, and we're not. We're all sat at home, fucking miserable, and we've all had a bit of a toll with the old mental health, I think, every single one of us, and it's really kicked me in the balls this last week, more than anything. So, you guys down in Australia, what's been occurring down there? Let's go through what it's been like everywhere, because it's pretty much been shit everywhere.
It's a real mixed bag down here, and I've had a very, very unique struggle with this whole process because South Australia in general has been pretty well behaved. Like, we got into lockdown early. We've done everything that we were asked to do. Very, very few people. It was very, very surreal in the start when we went into full lockdown. Like, we fucking locked down good and proper. And yet I still had to go to work because I'm essential. And, driving to work and seeing 3 people on the road sort of thing. That was ridiculously surreal. But the result in it was, we came out of lockdown almost as quick as we went into it and managed to keep a really firm grasp on it. So from that side of things, like from our locality, it's not that it's not real, it's just not as real.
Yeah.
But then you look at the eastern states, holy shit tits. Like they some of them good, well behaved, and then other states and other cities, mass anarchy, one step short. It's absolute bedlam. And just when, like, literally just the other day, their numbers were finally starting to drop, and they were talking about getting out of lockdown by Christmas and all this sort of shit. Bang, mass protest, chanting for freedom and running rampant through the parks, and they're straight back into lockdown. Like, they're just not getting it. And it's all sort of come to a head this weekend, being that I now sort of sit back and, like, it didn't really bother me beforehand when I see people doing the wrong thing, because I'm like, whatever. Now I'm sitting back and I'm like, it's legitimately angering me because of peanuts like that. that we can't have nice things, including going to BlizzCon.
Yeah. I think it kind of hit me what was going on over in Australia when our good friend Ryan over at Panda TV, the panderist of all pandas, did his dumb cunt video. And that kind of summed it up, and I felt exactly the same way. We went into lockdown. Well, we got I'll tell you this story. So we were. It was the Monday evening before our Prime Minister came on television and said, "Okay, everyone, that's it. You're going to stay at home as of midnight. Everybody stays at home unless you're a key worker." It was 8:30 in the evening. We'd been trying to get Lauren, my eldest daughter, down from Edinburgh, from her halls of residence, where she was pretty much one of about 3 people now living in a university halls of residence that should take about 500 people. She was one of 3 left in it. We'd already had all of her stuff picked up by a courier and shipped back down had started to ship it back down. We'd had 3 trains from Edinburgh cancelled on her, so we'd had to get refunds for all 3 of those. Flybe had gone bust, so there was no flights down from Edinburgh back to the Midlands of the UK. I rang my friend Russ, and Russ won't be watching this because he doesn't watch Twitch or YouTube, he watches YouTube, so maybe he will. He'll never know how thankful I am of him, because I rang him up and said we need to go and get her, and within 15 minutes he'd got back into day clothes and driven round to our house, and we started the 6-hour non-stop drive to Edinburgh.
Jesus.
And we went and got her, and we were back into Coventry. We set off about just after 9 o'clock in the morning, and 12 hours later, just after 9 o'clock in the morning, we were back in Coventry with Lauren in the back of the car with the last few little bits of her belongings, which was basically a rucksack and a bag.
On a complete side note, and I don't know why this is even relevant, but 6 hours to get there, that's about how long it takes me to get to the border.
Yeah.
And it's literally that borderline where it's kind of like Mad Max. They just need to fence the stupid in. Hello, PS2, fat boy. I see you in chat, you sexy motherfucker. Love you, long time soldier boy.
And we are very much. I'm very grateful to Russ for helping us out on that, because we were in the shit, and she was going to be up there stuck in Scotland on her own, which is no place to be stuck on your own. It's a beautiful city, but when you're on your own and you've got very little money and very little connection to the outside world. Yeah, and so we had to get her home, and then for the last 6 months she's been here, and now she's. We took the decision between all of us that the girls would go back to university, because she's a clever bastard and she's got herself on a PhD program. So Lauren's gone back into Edinburgh to do that, and Eloise, our youngest one of our brood, the girls, she's gone to Aberystwyth in Wales. So this week, Aberystwyth have gone. The whole of Wales has gone back into full lockdown. Our Prime Minister is still trying local lockdowns. We've just gone up a tier, so we've moved from tier 1 to tier 2. We're now in a high area rather than a medium risk area. We're in a high risk area now, and everything and nobody really knows what's going to go on between now and Christmas, and it feels impossible. Realistically speaking, so hypothetically, if America wasn't a burning dumpster fire of plague, you wouldn't have been able to leave the country regardless. No. Yeah, see, and we're the same. My state's the healthiest state in this country, and no flights out. The only way I would. If I wanted to go to Tenerife or Lanzarote, which are one of the other Canary Islands, which are off the sort of. I don't even know what language you're speaking right now. Right. Okay. So there is between Africa and the Azores, which are a small group of islands off the west coast of Africa.
Yeah.
There is another group of islands called the Canary Islands, and they are owned by Spain. So they're a Spanish tourist
Yeah, right.
destination, just like mainland Spain is for us. And we've just opened up an air corridor to the Canary Islands.
To get to the Canary.
So
Fucking
you can
Jesus.
go on fucking holiday over there because obviously, COVID-19 is quite happy not going to the Canary Islands anymore. It's done with the Canary Islands. It's laid on all the beaches. It's had strawberries and cream from down by the Lido in Puerto de la Cruz. I've been there on holiday myself. So, and this is the stupid thing about it. It's like, we've got to close the pubs at 10 o'clock at night because everybody knows that COVID doesn't come out until 10 o'clock at night.
That's where I sort of struggle with it as well. It's all good, Mr. PS2. I'm just glad you're here, and it's not just me and Fletch talking to my mum, who I'm pretty sure she's not even watching tonight.
No.
It's a funny old chestnut because, moving on to it a bit, it only hit me like they made the announcement that BlizzCon would have been this weekend, and I'll come back to that in a second. But it was randomly on Saturday that I worked out that hi blokes mum, I love you fucking clown. This was so early in the year when I had my sneaking suspicions. I actually booked. So a couple of years ago, when me and Stone were roomies for BlizzCon, we went one night. We swung Big Dick, and they offered us an upgrade, and we took it, and we had the pimp suite. And it was well and proper. Like, if we were going to have a Tito's fucking muckabout, that's the room that we would have done it in.
Right.
And when we checked out the next morning to move into our proper room, I said, "Oh no, look, that was pretty nice. Like, how much to stay there?" I can't remember what it was, but I pretty much cut her off before she even finished saying how many zeros she needed to attach to the end. And I booked that room again for this weekend.
Oh no!
So the 5 nights, and I paid I was on track to pay a very respectable price for it. Thanks for the bits, Miss Sir. You you don't have to do that, but it makes a cool noise, so I do appreciate it. And I realised that on the Saturday that for the first time ever, not only would I be back in the Hilton since me and Stone have been roomies, but like we were going top tier, swing for the rafters, like bring all the hoes and bitches back to Bernie wouldn't have to share a bed with sexy police chicks. He'd have his own bed, like yeah. And that for me was sort of another little trigger point. But you're married, mate. BlizzCon rules, all right? BlizzCon rules.
Nice, me and the wife. So this is what we were going to do. So back in February, when the last time we spoke and we recorded, well, not the last time we've spoken, but the last time we did anything substantive on a social media platform. I'm going all BBC now. I'm trying to get an audition in, get out of working for a supermarket, become an international megastar.
Cheeky plug.
But we were, it was my 50th birthday back in February. So this year we had decided, right, that is it. We are going to, I would say recently, but it's not that recently, we've reconnected with our family in America, which we'd lost contact with many, many, many years ago. My grandmother and my great aunt had just lost contact. Oh, just look at that sexy man.
I'm just doing that for Fat Boys. Yeah, look, he'll understand. But yeah, sorry.
And so what we were going to do is we were the week before BlizzCon, we were going to fly out to New York. We were going to have a weekend in New York, which my wife was not looking forward to, but it would have broken the trip up. And I love New York, and she would go, it's like every other big city in the world. It's big and smelly and horrible, which it is, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Smelly and horrible. And then we were going to fly down to Arkansas, out to the sticks where my cousins live, and where my cousin's husband is. He's the chief of police. He's Captain Corey Picard in the part of Little Rock that they live.
Smasher! Rocky's just joined in.
And then, hi Rocky. And then we were going to fly up to LA on the Friday before BlizzCon, so the week before BlizzCon, and we were going to get a couple of days in, maybe take Grains and his missus out for a bite to eat or something, and see who else is about, because I know Jeremy and Cassie have a habit of flying out a little bit early as well, and you fly out a bit early, so we could all go and have some...
That's half the fun in it, man. And I've been coming in early for a couple of years now. For that reason, it gives me a time to sort of get over the jet lag and settle in and have a bit of normality and a bit of bit of downtime, bit of time with Grains and Mrs. Grains and little Arthas. And I've literally watched that kid grow up over the last 4 or 5 years. Shipley and Marv and those lads, like that's a bit of quiet, like proper time before BlizzCon. There was talk of flying to wherever the fuck it is that Psycho's from, and road tripping down with him, like coming out 2 weeks early and road tripping down with him. There was talk of going to Texas and doing the barbecue tour, like go out there, then come back. There was talk of going to New Orleans and meeting my maker in New Orleans yet again. And this is what pisses me off. This was the year, so 2020 would have been my 10-year anniversary of the first time that I quite legitimately almost died in New Orleans. And I was geared up to do that again and then go to BlizzCon. Just real quick for Rocky and Aleph, PS2, I haven't got your link with me handy because I haven't set all that shit up yet. But if you want to drop your link to your Twitch in here, and I'm sure these boys will show you some love because they're good eggs. I was going to say the other word, but I have to hold it up because we're doing a podcast. And
if you want to add mine as well, UK Fletch. So it's just Twitter, twitch.tv/UK Fletch.
It's half the journey, and it stains on the other side of BlizzCon as well. Like a lot of people are like, right, the con's over on Saturday, peace out, I'm out on Sunday. And for a few years there, I was like, I'll fly out on Monday. Take care. I'll catch up with you real soon, man. That's now dragged out to a Tuesday. So, like, I get 2.5 days after the con again, sort of thing.
And we don't fly out until the Wednesday, because after the first year where we did fly out on the Tuesday, we immediately went, we need a couple of days after this. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, to like, wind down and sort of get your head around it and whatever else. But it's funny, man, because my phone's literally just pinged off. I'm going to read this out. So... last year, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. Last year, we had the quiet few days, and then I can't remember, I'm fairly certain it was the Monday or the Tuesday. Everyone started pouring into town, and we all started catching up, and it come over Discord. And I'm sure you would have seen this in Discord as well. And if you want to know how BlizzCon goes from 0 to 1,000, I think this sums it up. So it goes, so quick update. We're missing one person. One's throwing up. One wants to shit his pants and become a stripper. One's strapped to a bed. One's eating a burrito off the floor. And that's legitimately all different people. Fuck yeah, BlizzCon has landed. By the way, that's day one.
And what time was that?
That was, according to Discord, man, that's 10:15 in the morning on a fucking on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like that's 4 days. That's 4 whole days before the con.
So we flew.
Hey, Salsa.
So we flew in on the Monday, and we, as you know, we had a problem with Lauren because Lauren had got an exam that she couldn't get out of. So we had to rebook her flight for her to come out on the Wednesday. So the Monday and the Tuesday we were a little bit subdued just to make sure that she got here. And you know, we did things with the gang, but when I read that in Discord on the Tuesday morning, I was like, for fuck's sake, it's happening. It's happened again.
I legitimately forgot about the second part of that until I've just read it right now, and it's just triggered a whole different set of memories. So that first one was 10:15 in the morning, and then at 10:25, and then our manager, who's decided he likes women's toilets more than dudes, because he was so legless, he kept going to the fucking chicks and couldn't figure out why there were so many girls in there.
And to be completely honest with you, I can't blame him the whole way there.
We all know I've had my fair share of incidences in there. Fucking last year was a shocker. No, the year before.
Yeah, well, me and Charlie sat yesterday, and I put all of her photographs off of her iPhone into our shared BlizzCon pool of photographs, which for some reason we hadn't done. And she's actually taking photographs of the inside of the toilets in the Hilton for the ladies because she was like, "There's a sofa in there. You never get a sofa in the toilets in the UK. I mean, the women's are nicer, but a sofa, floor length mirrors. You know, it's like, what the fuck is going on?"
I have nightmares about bathrooms, especially in the Hilton, because the year I did I think I told you the year I did the female cop thing, and I had safety shorts on underneath because I'm not that stupid, and didn't even think about it, and gone to the bathroom. I'm trying to hit the urinal, but I had to sort of like hitch the one piece skirt up, but get the fly down, and I was reasonably lubricated and couldn't fucking coordinate anything. And I'm sitting there struggling with it, and I see out of the corner of my eye this bloke walks in, and he's like, "What the?" I'm like, "I don't mind me, mate." And he's like, "Fuck this," and just does a U-turn and goes straight out. But I had a scarf on as well, and the security guard, I must have dropped it, and the security guard comes out and he's like, ma'am, you forgot your scarf.
Oh, cheers,
and he's handed me the scarf. Yeah, and I was turning around and go, cheers, mate. And he's like, what the fuck no? And just legged it. It's the year before that, I was using a cubicle, and there was a bang on the wall. And a guy next to me, he's like, "Hey, man, you got any spare TP? We're out this side." I'm like, "Yeah, I got you, man. I got you." And I pulled the roll off and I handed it to him under the cubicle. And he must have bent down far enough to see my feet. And he's like, "Dude, are those Warcraft socks?" I'm like, yeah. Because fuck yeah, Order Alliance. We're both sitting there trying to take a hangover shit. And having a conversation between cubicles with a complete stranger, you know. Long story short, the dude's still on my BattleNet. We play from time to time, and I sit there and I go, where else in the world does that happen?
Nowhere.
Like you just do you go to the pub on a Friday night, have a few bevoirs, go hit the cubicles, and make best mates with the guy in the cubicle next to you?
No.
You get your head punched in before you
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
Absolutely.
It's one of the bajillion examples of BlizzCon magic. Very random one, but still.
It is...
Let's have a throwback. What's the first big moment that hit you when you first got to Blizzard or BlizzCon? This is a guilty reason because I know exactly what mine is.
We walked. We checked.
See you, Rocky.
See you later, Rocky. We walked into the hotel. We checked in. I think we got in the evening, and typical British people, it's like, well, let's have a cup of tea, as we have brought tea bags with us. We are probably in search of milk. And so we decided we'd just go for a walk and just see if we could find like a 7-Eleven or some sort of supermarket so that we could go grab a few bits and pieces. And we ended up walking up Catella up towards Convention Way. And we went, oh, let's go and have a look. Yeah, we've got to walk down there. And it was that sort of, 6 o'clock. For some bizarre reason in Anaheim, the sun disappears about 6:30 in the evening. It just goes, hey, it's really bright, it's really sunny, and now I'm done. Dark.
Literally, like someone turns the switch off.
Yeah. So we're walking up and we can see the thing, and I'm like, oh, look, there's Disney over there. And the wife's going, oh, yeah, you're right, there's Disney over there. And why are these pavements like 16 feet off the road? And then we get up to Convention Way and we cross over and we start walking up towards the Hilton, and they're putting the banners up at the back, and we can, see all the stuff, and they've started
crowd moment,
and they've started to set up all of the stuff outside the Hilton, and we were like, oh, shit, man, this is real. We're actually here. I can't believe that we're actually here after 2 years of failing to get tickets and multiple years just watching it online and going, one day we will go. One day we've got to go to this. We have to go. We've got to do the pilgrimage. And so that was the real first big thing. But I think the thing that made it ever so real was when we went, okay, so it's ticket day tomorrow. We're going to go and get our passes. What time are we going to get up? We're British. We're professional queuers. We're going to be up at stupid o'clock in the morning. We get up at 3. We get ourselves ready. By 3:30, I want you to have been to the toilet and freshened up, and then I'm going to go to the toilet. So that's an hour. So we'll get to like 4:30. By the time I've done all of my business and got myself ready, 4:30, we're out of here. Straight down. Have we got anything to? We don't need to eat. We don't need to eat. This is something that's just not. We'll sort food out later on. I bought some fruit and stuff for Charlotte because she doesn't eat. She just falls over because she weighs like 14 pounds or something like that. So we walk up and we're in the queue, and there's this guy with this stupid white bowling shirt thing on, quite a short guy. And we started talking, Australian accent. It's all right. I'm in good company. Australians, British, we're close enough that we're not going to try and beat each other up for coming from a different country. All's good. And that was Dud. That was the first time I'd met Dud, and that was the first time I heard of TOs. And he went, have a wristband, this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, right. And the wife's like,
you're one of us now.
And the wife's like, you're doing it again. You're talking to strangers in a queue. It's 5:30 in the morning. Can you just not leave this shit out? Right? And I'm like, no, I can't. You know that I can't. And we ended up staying with Dud, and we got ushered down into the bowels of the Anaheim Convention Centre because we were there way too early, and they didn't expect anyone to be there that early. And I think it was a bit of a nonsense for them, and they were like, how can we disappear these people? Because by this time there's about 150. And they marched us round and down under the convention centre, right next to the doors that are right next to where we used to go and get the ticket pickup. And we were the first in. When we got through there were about half a dozen people in front of us, and we just walked straight through. We were in and out within seconds, and we got those passes, and Dud went, see you in the morning. I'll see you by the fountain in the morning. Okay, fine. And that was it. That's all she wrote. It's just been us, and
it's been a bloody whirlwind ever since.
Yeah.
And I've told this story a few times that I was actually on my honeymoon with wifey, and at that point I was still on the podcast, a different podcast, and we'd been invited as guests to host a dinner party. And so I came across, wifey was coming, she was going to have a lazy day, lazy couple of days shopping and doing whatever else. And it came about through a negative situation a couple of days before we left Australia.
I'm just
that there was an extra
a Towley vape.
Yeah.
Towley allows people.
It was a net negative situation that was turned into a positive. Take it easy, LF. I'll speak to you soon, buddy. And it was
See you later,
Grains had a spare ticket that came up, and we lined that up, and that's when I met Grains, and we've been besties ever since. But there was a lot of toing and froing. Like we landed in LA, and we'd been to Stan Lee's Kamikaze and this and that and Harry Potter Land and all that sort of stuff. And we shot out to Vegas for a couple of days, and we said, we were in Vegas, and we come back, and we were coming to Anaheim. So the first part of the trip, we'd been up in the airport district and were staying up there because we were doing stuff that side of the city.
Mate,
but when we came back,
That's like near.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. It was interesting, but very comparable to the city I'm from. So, when we came back and Leah had been sick in Vegas, I was sort of humming and hawing whether I was sick or not, and jet lag was well and truly kicked in. I was struggling still, a week into the trip, and I still remember being in the back of a cab coming down Catella and turning on to Convention Way, and I'd seen Disneyland. I'm like, Disney. I was like, soon, it's coming. Thank you. As soon as the cab turned onto Convention Way, and the street signs, the street lights and street signs, and they had the "Welcome to BlizzCon," and I instantly just started tearing up. And my wife's holding my hand. She's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, and I was bawling my eyes out. We pulled up into the Hilton because we had a Disney View room that year because it was our honeymoon, and we dumped all the bags and literally, like, I checked in, went up to the room, threw my bags in, on my shit to do, went straight back out, and I was at that fountain about 30 seconds later. The banners were already up. And I sat there, and I just sat there having a smoke and trying to process the fact that after, I think at that point, 2016, like after 10 years, I'll say, random number, after however many years of knowing about BlizzCon, and more so the few years prior trying to go, then just being stuck watching virtual tickets, and I had a really hard time processing the fact that not only was I there, but I was going. And sadly enough, I still get that. Every year that I've been, the last few years, there's still that moment where you just gotta sink it in. Like, you gotta let it really just hit you in the core. And if you look at, it became a bit of a laughing joke for a while, but I've got huge bloke schedule of the things that happen every day that I'm at the con, so that I know what's going on and don't forget shit. And on the Monday, there's a little half-hour window blocked out, and it just says the ritual. And every year that I've been to BlizzCon, so I go to the Hilton lobby, to the burger joint, and get a Swiss cheese bacon melt, and I take my burger and I go and sit out in the fountain, and I have my burger and I have a smoke, and just soak up the fact that, a year's gone and I'm back, and sort of like start building that excitement of like, absolutely nothing could happen, and this is going to be the most mental week ever.
So there was a funny story about the Hilton food outlets. I had no idea they were there. The first year we went nowhere near them. Absolutely no idea. Never been in that hotel apart from to go and have a beer and go to Con Before the Storm and, you know, do that sort of stuff. Because the first year that we went, we were the same. We had this list of stuff.
Yeah.
We were so British when we turned up. So when we turned up at the airport, there was, I've told this story before, the TSA agent that checked us into the country thought I'd said police con rather than BlizzCon, was very interested in what this police con was because he was a police officer and obviously had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. I explained to him it was BlizzCon, and he was like, all right, okay. And then I've got this folder literally...
Bloody colonial accents.
Yeah. And I got this folder literally full of, and this is where we are staying, and here's the receipts, and, you know, and here are our tickets to all the parties we're going to, and here is our invoice and our ticket to go and pick up our, you know, convention passes, and you know, Mr. TSA agent, sir, we love your country, and we wouldn't do anything to jeopardise ever coming here. Just please let me in. And the guy was brilliant, but we'd got that list of stuff to do. We were going this one, with this. And I think after we did Con Before the Storm, that list just went right out the fucking window. He was like, we'll end up where we are.
I very specifically, when I put my little list of shit together and I put it in Discord for Tito's, very specifically across the top says, guide use only. May not happen, probably won't happen, but take a pot shot. Like,
so fast forward to this last year. So 2019, and it seems so fucking far away because it is now exactly a year ago. And and we get into the country, and we got all the kids with us this time round. And we said to the kids, you are not coming to get the badges. We do not expect you to get up at stupid fucking clock in the morning and come and collect the badges, because that's mine and Charlie's ritual. We're going to go and do that. And we got down there, and I've been texting, and we've got the WhatsApp group that we use as well. Well, when we're there, because it's more immediate, I think, than Discord. Works better. And there I am, and I get this message pop through. It's from Ross, going, where the fuck are you? We're in the queue. And he said, well, I'm just coming now. Do you need anything? Yeah, could you get us a coffee or something? And he went, why don't you just go to the Starbucks in the Hilton? What do you mean Starbucks in the Hilton? What are you even talking about?
The what now in the warehouse?
You strange American. What the fuck are you on about? And he went, I'll go and get you one. What do you want? I said, well, a large English tea for Charlotte, and I'll have a hyper double, you know, extra triple shot thing with the...
Mega diabetes with caffeine mixed.
what I normally have when I go. And about 15 minutes later, I see him walking around the back of the car park where they put the ticket collection last year. Walking around the back of the car park, and all it is, do you want to hold up your...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hold it. Oi, you! And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, who's that? And I can see Ross in the background with this tray like this going there. I thought you meant this front. No, this front. All the way around. Came to where we were, and I said, just because it was the worst fencing job I've ever seen at an event.
Oh, yeah.
Stop people getting in anywhere in that queue. And there was this area where they'd gone, right, it's the corner of a road. So obviously in America, that means that it's bark chippings and cordelines.
Yeah.
Right. So he'd already climbed through it to give me the coffee, and there's the fence there, and I went, just hop over the fence and come and stand with me and Charlie. No, it's all right. I'll go back round the back. I thought it was as British that respected the line. No, it's fine. Ross, seriously, just come on over. No. I'm going to go around anyway, all the way back round.
Back around.
Because I spotted some chick, by the sounds of it, round the back that he's probably hit on and failed miserably with, like he always does. That he
We
wanted to
love
go
you,
and
Ross,
talk
but
to
you're a
him.
bit of a cunt.
Oh, mate, and it was like, I can't believe we're here again, and I can't believe we're doing this again, and it's just the thing is for me, and this is my big problem with BlizzCon. When I'm not there, it seems like a dream, and when I'm there, it's my own reality, and everything else that I've experienced for the other 51 weeks of the year are the dream.
Yep. Yep.
And it's
Yep.
so
100%.
it's so hyper real. It's so
Yep.
intense. It's all those people, all with a singular purpose. Even more so with the Tito's crew, because I don't know what it is.
It's just how it goes. And I find myself explaining to people at BlizzCon very, very regularly that while it's not that I'm a different person at BlizzCon per se, but a very more comfortable person. Like I go to BlizzCon and everyone's just so happy and it's jokes and you mates with everyone and there's hugs and there's like genuine emotion on display. People are excited and happy, and then come towards the end of the week when your shit gets sad because people are going home and it's going to be a year before you see them again and stuff like that. Like, but here it just doesn't work that way. There's not that same degree of comfortable and that same degree of openness that goes with it. And I very much rely on BlizzCon for all the stress that it gives me leading up to it. That one and a half week of just normality in my eyes. I see that time at BlizzCon as my normality and like you said, as my reality that recharges both my mental state, but as sort of cliche as it sounds, like it sort of fills the soul to get you through the everyday for the next 51 weeks after.
Charlotte woke up yesterday morning and she looked out the window, and yesterday the weather it was awful. It's like the first proper day of, this is the back, autumn going into winter. And even though the winter in the UK doesn't really start until sort of early December. But it was really cold and it was really rainy and it was really horrible. And she went, I just want to be in Anaheim right now. Anaheim's home this time of year. Why aren't we in Anaheim?
Do you know the funniest part about you saying that is it's springtime here in the great southern state. And the last 2.5 days, like, I'm wearing a hoodie for fuck's sake. Like, it is cold, man. It is cold and it's fucking wet and it's miserable. And it's almost insult to injury on the same premise. I'm like, right about now, I should be kicking it in the sunshine,
she said to me
shorts, a Bintang singlet, a liquid marijuana in one hand, and God knows who else I've managed to wrangle in the other arm, sort of thing.
She turned around to me yesterday and she said, "What's the weather like in Anaheim at the moment?" I said, "It's 19 degrees." And strangely enough, right now in Anaheim, it's 19 degrees again, because it's always the same.
Difference is the sun's out there.
It's always the same temperature, although it is the middle of the night, and it's always like it. And and you're like,
and it makes for perfect weather to sleep in the garden bed because you're too drunk to get your SWAT card out and get back into the hotel.
What you're talking about, I always make it back to bed.
You do, but I may or may not.
I have Charlotte that makes sure that I am definitely at home in bed where she knows.
I had a Cassie and Jeremy, and I give them credit for trying, but it turns out the unofficial job of wrangling a bloke is not as easy as you'd think.
Well, yeah. Well, before we get on to the next topic, we'll relive this a little bit. So last year at Con Before the Storm, we were because they'd pushed a load of parties together into the one, and Tito's had got a table to do signings and stuff at some point. And I'd been, we'd been there to go and meet some other people as well, because my daughter was desperate to meet Taliesin and Evertel, which they reached out yesterday over Twitter for some pictures and stories of people of of BlizzCon, and my daughter Eloise immediately sent them a load of embarrassing pictures of her basically hanging on to Tally and Evertel for dear life, crying her eyes out, generally just sort of like, I love you so much, I love you both so much, and she was like that for about 10 minutes, and they were so good with her, and you know. And Evertel was, as Mike Preach said yesterday, one of the most shocking things he's ever seen at BlizzCon was he walked through the Hilton and there was an extremely pregnant Evertel there, because they'd not told anyone before they flew out. And so we were doing all this sort of stuff, and the wife and the kids went back a little bit earlier. I stayed around and sort of had a conversation with Terran Gregory after somebody had told me another story about something that didn't.
I'm not bringing that up.
No,
yeah,
it just didn't happen. Something that absolutely didn't happen. It was extreme rumor, in fact, libelous, in my opinion, And Terran stood there, and I'm like, "Hi, Terran, how you doing?" And it's like, I love this place. I just love meeting everybody this year, and the TO's guys are great. And I love Bloke and Bernie, and and I'm like, "You're Terran Gregory. I know so much about you, and you know nothing about me, and you're talking about my friends, your friends, and this is stupid, and I don't know what's going on anymore." Because I think it was last year, was really the first year that I started walking up to people and just talking to them because they recognised me.
You were like a networking monster last year.
Yeah. I mean,
all the normality and I guess the inhibitions have gone out the window, and it was, there's so and so. Righto, back in a minute.
I'm not one for being starstruck.
G'day, I'm Fletch.
There's only one person I've ever been starstruck by, and that's Marty Friedman when he was playing guitar for Megadeth, and I met him on a tour when I was doing tour duties to earn an extra few bucks when I was at uni. And I literally stood there and just went, "You're Marty Friedman," and Dave Mustaine stood by the side of him, and I completely blanked Dave Mustaine. And just fangirled out over Marty Friedman. So I rarely ever get starstruck. I've met a lot of people.
I've only ever done it twice, and one was to Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
and I met him, and I think I told you it was at a convention. Same deal, a bit very very hungover from the night before, and he goes, "Oh, hi, how are you? Thanks for coming to see me." And I'm like, "Man, you're heaps taller without your wheelchair." And then he's like, sort of looked at me weird. I thought, "Oh, you fucking idiot! Why did you do that?" And the worst part was I had to go back the next day and try again, because there's no way that you can leave Professor X but with that impression sort of thing. No. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry about yesterday," and he's like, "It's all right. It happens all the time." I'm like, "Oh," and he goes, "Oh, who am I making this out to?" And I said, "Oh, my wife really wanted to come meet you, but she's sick." And he's like, takes the photo back and he signed it to her as well. But the other person was last year, which you know all too well about. And it turns out that after your discussion and a follow-up discussion by me, turns out the words never even came out because I was in such a bad state that he never heard them anyway. Yep. So I was so very relieved that was the case.
Absolutely. I mean, we had all this stuff was going on, and there were a few people there that to not risk the wrath of Twitter and Twitch. We shall not mention their names, but we know who we're talking about. And we had a catch up with those guys because they are not evil.
You just gave me another fond reminder. One of those people in particular was in the lobby on our last night, right before we headed to the fountain, and we had literally all the last stragglers had just punched a round of liquid marijuana. So you were there for that, and I've seen you in the picture. And do you remember Megan? As I like to call her, Frank the Tank, my Aussie drinking partner. She's like, "Oh my God, it's so and so."
I was there when she said it,
but she would not go anywhere near him.
No.
And I was like, "Come on, mate, that's not how it works. It's BlizzCon," and literally dragged her over. And they were like, "So this is my friend Megan. She thinks you're pretty good at what you do. Would you mind having a photo while I get you a beer?" And he's like, "Yep." And then it was like that. "Oh, you're okay with this?" And then her brain clicked to that, and they had quite a normal conversation.
I think surreal moment where I've been chatting to a number of the team for quite some time that evening, and I needed to go and find someone. And I came out of the hall where they'd got the party and came back downstairs into the Hilton lobby. And by this time they'd finished doing what they were doing, and they'd just gone for a drink, and they were all meeting up with all the other people that they would normally meet up with at BlizzCon. And I spotted one of them. "Hey, have you seen so-and-so?" And turned around and went, "No, Fletch, I've not seen them for ages." And I went, "All right, no worries," and just walked off. And to me, they're just now me mates, and whether they like it or not. And and I just will treat them the way that I will treat them. And because that's what it's like.
It's very much the same for me, and it's taken me a little bit to get past that mentality as well. Like I very much still get starstruck, but once I get past that in my head, as you know, like mates with Ryan, prime example. The first time I actually met Ryan, he was on his way out of the Hilton to go to a meeting. And I was like, "Oh, it's him. Like, I fucking know you." Like, as soon as I went to talk to him, couldn't get my words out. And, kept bumping into him and over time, become mates. And it's very much that sort of very easy conversation now. There's still a few people that I met. Metzen, prime example. I'm not sure that would go down well.
No,
I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think I'll be able to words good if I tried that one.
No, I think me and you would both be word bad. Words bad corner.
Yeah.
Words bad
corner. Yeah. I think last year someone even suggested that I should have little palm cards. Hi, my name's Hughes Bloke. I'm a massive fan. I came all the way from Australia for this event. Thanks for everything you do, blah, 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 blah. And just in my back pocket, just leave them. And then if I ever do run into him, be like,
"Here."
And I have one in there explaining I'm not good with words when I fanboy. So here, take these. I mean, I know this is weird.
Well, you bastards got me well and good last year with the trip out to
I do try
to the campus, and strangely enough, the group of people that we've just been talking about also happened to be on campus that day, which was just the most bizarre thing I've ever done.
I'd see. I still laughed at that now because I remember it so clearly, your reaction, not only to where you were, but to seeing them as well. And I was like, "Go and have a photo, Fletch. Go and say good day." No, I can't do that. And literally pushing you like, "Swing for the rafters."
And I think that was the tipping point for me. That is when I basically went, "Yeah, okay, fine. Whatever's going to happen is just going to happen."
It takes that one interaction at BlizzCon for it just to seamlessly click in your head, be it, "Oh shit, these people are just like me."
Yeah.
Or this, be it staff or a streamer that you watch, or a cosplayer, a musician, or the dude standing in the queue in front of you or behind you, or, apparently in the cubicle next to you who's run out of toilet paper. There's a defining moment in everyone's con experience where it just clicks all of a sudden.
I have a massive apology to make to one very, very famous streamer and YouTuber for next year. And I'm gonna say it now, just in case she ever sees this, because we'll try and tag her into it. So Hazel Nutty Games, Hazel. So last year I kind of went, really sorry, Hazel, we're not here to see you, we're here to see them. And she went, oh, okay. And she was so sweet about it. And I've massively, and I was polite, I really was polite, but it was like, I can't believe I've just basically just gone to Hazel, because she's so sweet, she's so lovely. You know,
I had the exact same thing with another massive streamer. I'm not saying who. Same deal. We have a mutual friend. Mutual friend's like, oh, do you want to meet so-and-so? Ah, no, he looks busy. I'm just going to talk to my mate here. And pointed to the barman. And I'm like, he turns around and goes, you want another drink, bloke? Yeah, fucking hell, I do. And this massive big time streamer is like, oh, he'd rather get a drink than talk to me. I'm like, I respect you, dude, but I'm doing my thing. You feel free to keep doing yours. Right.
The funniest. So we met Mike Preach last year. Met Mike, and spent quite a lot of time chatting with Mike outside, and while I was having a vape, and Mike is Mike. Whether he's on stream or he's off stream, he's just Mike. It's just the way that he is. But the funniest thing is Mike's wife, Emma. She's 5'0", and she's just this. Normally when you ever see her, she's got her hair tied up, and she had her hair down, and she's got the longest, curliest ginger hair in the entire universe. And she is a force to be reckoned with. She's just... I can only ever see Mike with one woman, and that is Emma, because Mike needs an Emma, like I need a Charlie and you need a Leah. And she's absolutely that kind of person. And she...
Chaos needs a reigning force.
Yes. And she comes up and she went, so you're Fletch? And I went, yeah, I'm Fletch. And we got talking, and we started talking about Tito's and stuff. And actually we have a relationship. I wouldn't say a friendship, but we have a relationship, which is really, really nice. And I follow Mike on streaming and stuff in any case. But there was something really funny happened over the summer. So just before the summer, I had to recase my PC. My PC was falling apart. So I recased it and took the opportunity to throw a few extra bits in there as well, just to freshen it up a little bit. And my wife's got this giant Lian Li O11D dynamic thing with like custom water cooling and all
bells and whistles,
and the 2080 in it. And we took a load of pictures because Mike was in the process of building a new PC for streaming for Shadowlands, and he was going to put a water loop in it and do all this sort of stuff. And one day on stream, he wanted people to send him pictures. So I sent a picture of Charlotte's PC and sent a picture of my PC. And mine is white case, white interior, black motherboard, white Corsair cooler, my old 1080 graphics card. And but it looks really, really sweet. And I've cable managed the shit out of it. Very, very subtle lighting. It's like a white, pale white, blue kind of lighting inside. Very nice, very subtle. Charlotte's is unicorn puke everywhere. RGB doing all sorts of stuff. The RAMs going up and down, and everything's doing everything. And I put these two pictures up on for Mike. It made it into the highlights video for Mike for that month. This thing where he just basically looks into the camera and went, Fletch, go and get Mrs. Fletch. Mrs. Fletch, what are you doing? What are you doing? Straight into the camera, and we got this thing going. So BlizzCon doesn't stop. The people that you meet, the friendships you build, the people you start to talk to, like Shipley. You know, I've had multiple conversations with Shipley since, and I can't wait to see him, especially his Conan O'Brien Stormtrooper, which is definitely not Shipley Stormtrooper. don't know what they're talking about, Conan O'Brien. You know, and I can't wait to catch up with those guys because they were wonderful, and I can't wait to. There's loads of people that I just want to go and have a hug with, you know, even a socially distanced hug, and a beer with, and you know, just go and chill out.
Would be content with a fucking Wakanda Forever from across the room.
Yeah.
Like, and that to me, like, and I've said 1,000 times, I've said on the podcast, I've said on numerous podcasts, I love the con. I absolutely love the con, and every year possible, I'll be there, and I'll do whatever I can do to just be elbows deep in it. But what truly makes that experience is the people, and it's not just Tito's. Obviously, I'm biased towards Club Tito's people, but every year meeting more and more people, and more Blizzard staff and hotel staff, and like the fact that Mary, the housekeeper from the Homewood Suites, recognizes me with the very little English that she has. And when I saw her last year, when obviously we had the Tito's barbecue there, and I wasn't staying there, but I came across for the barbecue, and she saw me and she came give me a big hug. And hola, big man, you know, give me a big hug, and that's the limit of our conversation. But she remembered me from years past. It's the people that you don't expect that I think is the biggest pleasant surprise out of that, and that's what I think I'm going to miss the most this year.
Yeah, the cleaners in our place over at the Best Western that we stay in down the road. There are a number of them, but the one that we stay in just down the road from the convention centre. That the cleaning ladies there, they recognised us last year, and one of the girls went, "You're familiar?" Yeah. We brought the family this year, and she went, "Ah."
Yeah.
And it's then when we'd got all of this rubbish when we were trying to pack, and we'd literally got boxes and boxes and boxes upon boxes of crap. Just sort of like, where are we going to do with all this? What are we going to do with it all? And I just went out and I caught the eye of one of the ladies and I said, "We need big rubbish bags." And she went, "How many?" "Oh, 5. And she went, "Cinco?" And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "Okay." And she went out and she put them back. Yeah. And she just pointed out the front of the actual room and she just put them there. And we filled all these things up and put them, because we leave clothes to try and fit everything in the bags, and we took way to, you know, I mean,
whatever it takes.
And we got all of this crap into these bags. And then there was one bag, and what we did is we put all the clothes that we weren't taking with us, which were you know, they're not expensive designer shit, you know, it's just day-to-day stuff that you buy.
Just stuff that you're not using.
That we're not using. And we put all that in a separate bag and just put all that to the side, because I know that they struggle for money. And, you know, if you can, and I actually said, "Look, please don't think we're embarrassed by this. If you can make use of this stuff, take it."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Thank you, gracias."
Best friends ever.
Yeah.
But see,
they've sorted us out the first year. They sorted us out last year, and they literally took 5 giant sacks of rubbish away of packing material.
But even in that respect, like not last year. I believe it was your first year, or maybe the year before, when we had our first barbecue on the pool deck. And we went full mental with the food and drinks. And we obviously kept the drinks, but we had food. We had burgers and hot dogs and fruit salad and salad this and chocolate that and chips this. We didn't know what the fuck to do with it. And me, because I was, again, very lubricated, let myself into the staff room. And the girls are like, no, back here. Right, no, it's okay. I'll bring presents. and let myself into the staff room and put a tray of burgers down. Oh, thank you. I said, oh, give me a minute, I'll be back. And I can't remember who came with me. I think there was about 3 or 4 of us, and we picked up everything we could find, everything that we had left over. I had cubes of cola and bottles of soft drink and ice block. There was all sorts of stuff, and we took it all in the staff room. And even the manager came out and he's like, "Oh, we really shouldn't be back here." I'm like, "No, it's all good. We're just dropping this off." And he's like, "Oh man, you guys are the best." And it was funny because I that year was the pool deck barbecue was a lead up to another party, and things in that party got very out of control very quickly, in a good way, and then that led to the Hilton, got in a good way, very good way, and it was the next morning. Homewood Suites, all you can eat breakfast, sitting there with my sunnies on. Kill me now. And one of the staff members from the day before, they're coming up just saying, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Big Man. Thank you, Mr. Big Man." It's like, "Oh, best burgers ever." Thank you. One come past with not Barocca. It's Barocca in Australia. Vita C or so, I don't know, some powder. Yeah, fucking Barocca, American Barocca. Drop that down and building that relationship by a simple act of kindness. And I think that's what ultimately the point of the story being is. It doesn't just apply to the con. It applies to everyone and anyone that we come across during that time of the con. And I mean, getting back to the whole point of the podcast, that's the sort of stuff that I think, for me at least, I'm going to miss wickedly this year. Like, I love seeing all you guys and all my friends and family, as I like to call you. But that opportunity to meet more people and make more friends and bring more people into the family, that's a struggle this year, because obviously we can't do it.
No. Me and the wife would
gives me an extra 51 weeks to plan, but
I know. But I won't tell you the conversation that me and my wife had the other day, but my wife is quite insistent on something happening next year, whether you like it or not. Because as far as she's concerned, it's got to happen. And she'll find a way to make it happen, because that's just the kind of person that BlizzCon brings something out in Charlotte that I've never seen before, and I've seen it privately but not publicly, and I'm more of that as far as I'm concerned, because me and you have joked about this. She can be quite emotionally void
in public.
Always has been.
It's funny that you said that in the way that you did, that BlizzCon brings it out in her, because we've had the incident 2 years running now with I like to call him my mate. I don't know whether he feels the same way. J. Allen Brack. And, the first year a chance encounter, but I ended up getting overly emotional, fumbling some words, and ended up just basically manhandling the guy into submission and getting a hug out of him. Last year, on his own terms, he offered up a hug.
Yeah.
And one of the girls that, although I feel really bad, I haven't spoken to her in a while, but we are sort of good friends. When I told her what had happened, in the part of Blizzard that she works, and they work very closely, and she's like, "Man, you gotta count your stars." I was, "What do you mean?" She goes, "He's not a hugger. He's not a hugger. There's just something about that situation and that con and that time of the con and the environment, just something about it."
Oh.
And no sooner had she said it, Jeremy, God love him, literally just comes out of left field, and he's like, "You can't go anywhere. We're having a hug because we're mates, and that's what mates do." Literally just walks up, spear tackles the bloke, and he's like, "Right, you can go now." And literally telling him to bugger off, sort of thing. It may not have been those words, but it was along those lines, and it's sort of become that little bit of a wake up call. in terms of the fact that like being at BlizzCon really does bring out, and I don't like saying a different side of people, but a different. I don't know. I think people just feel more comfortable and more open. And ironically, no sooner had I just said those words that I see Jay the Bard rock up in chat.
Oh, Jay.
How are you, Jay? Love you, man. I hope you're doing well. See again, Jay the Bard, another shining example of swinging for the rafters. And look where the kids.
Jay is one of my friends. I would quite happily trust my children in his care. Jay is my friend.
I'll say the same thing. I'd have absolutely no qualms leaving my wife, my kids, and my wallet with him. Swings for the rafters. Look where the kids landed. Like, that's the magic of BlizzCon, and the way that even in the last couple of years I've seen the guy grow, and again, not be a different person, but it just seems so much easier when you're at BlizzCon to be open and be amongst your friends. And
one of my favourite things last year was we were sat in the Hilton, and it was really, really early on in the week, and I know.
Oh, you might cut out.
Oh no! Hello.
Oh, there you go.
So last year, one of my favourite things was the fact that we were sat in the Hilton, and it was early on in the week. Jay had just got into town properly, and he was sat there with his guitar, and we were just sat having a really chill drink, and there was nobody about. He was playing his guitar, and we were singing along. Just mates. That's it.
Yep.
Whereas, I've said it to him, to his face, a few years earlier, we were stood in the front room watching the talent competition, screaming our balls off, all the family, for Jay to win, because it was brilliant what he did. You know, and the picture that I posted up on Friday night, you know, Cyril and Jay and Jab have got their own personal bard, whether they like it or not. And they've got their own personal bodyguard with us lot as well. We have got their backs. It's as simple as that.
But see, and this is why I love reminiscing about BlizzCon, because I can tell you, myself, Kyle, and Bernie and Ross were up in a quiet part of the Dark Moon Fair, and there was literally like 6 or 7 other people, and there was this whole big screen and all this seating and nobody there. And I found road snacks in my bag from home, pizza shapes. And I was like having a moment, just like, pizza shapes. Oh, I feel better. And the talent comp come on, and don't get me wrong, like they were good, man. They were good. But when Jay come out, and I remember him walking across the stage and seeing it on the big screen, I'm like, this motherfucker right here. Like, the beanie and the guitar, I'm like, I don't know, I know whatever's about to happen is going to be good. And I remember slapping Kyle, and he halfway through that song, and I remember saying, and it was something bold crude. It was along the lines of like, I'll eat my dick if this dude doesn't win. And then sure enough, he won. And I just remember, like, I fucking called it, right? Like, just being an idiot. And then, obviously, fast forward to later that night when I actually met him. and we've all heard that story. I'm not going there again. But then to look back at that now and to consider him a good friend, and the relationship that's come out of, you know, we can't physically hang out. No. I can't bring him up on a Friday night and go, hey, man, I'm going to the pub for dinner. You want to come have a drink? Yeah. You know, you don't have that same interaction and same socialness that you have with friends that live around you. And so it's a very unique relationship anyway. To be so long distance and only catch up once a year, and once a year in this whirlwind of absolute fuckery.
Yeah, and because that once a year that where you will absolutely try and meet them, you might be for 5 minutes, and that is it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you've seen them, and that's all you need is that 5-minute connection.
That quick little recharge, and to be able to maintain that low key, low maintenance as fuck through Twitter or Discord or YouTube or your Facebook pages. And you sort of, you know, you're always keeping in touch and you're always carrying on. and then you get to BlizzCon, and even if you only catch up with someone for 5-10 minutes, it's the best 5 or 10 minutes. For me, it's about walking into the Hilton and seeing everyone's faces.
Yeah,
100%, Jay. And there's another person, Michael Froman, like Sea Monkey, Spider Monkey hugs. Now, you would have heard or seen something about it at some point, but it's like this random as tradition from the second year I'd been at BlizzCon, and Michael's usually one of the very first people that I see at the Hilton lobby. And 9 times out of 10, he's bailed me up either as I'm walking up to the Hilton doors or as I've just got in the lobby. And there's no fucking about. He's like, literally like a fucking spider monkey, just manhandle the fuck, like leaps up into my arms, and we just have this like god almighty romantic fucking hug. And it's like this really intense fucking amazing moment of, dude, I haven't seen you in a year and this is going to be the greatest week of our life and it's so good to see you, and oh my god. And it's like, right, beer, off you go. Again, don't see the dude any other time, but it's just that overwhelming happiness that you get when you catch up with these people.
I can't wait to see the guys from Accessible BlizzCon and the sick and dying crew, as I like to lovingly refer to them as, because we've all got our own problems, and
it's just such a raft of groups.
And standing with them last year and being and it was fucking horrific that they wouldn't get a chair. We got somebody in that queue that was just literally just needed to sit down, and it was getting horrific. And I went and found the security last year were pretty poor on day one. I went and found someone from Blizzard, and I told them who I was, and I told them what the problem was, and that people would know about this if they didn't sort it out. And I must have done it so fucking convincingly, because within 30 seconds there were chairs appearing from everywhere for people dotted all along that line to try to get it, so that they could rest up before they actually, then went into the main hall.
Yeah.
And I'll speak about advocacy at work. That for me is probably my personal proudest moment, is the fact that I managed to get a chair for someone to sit down on. And that's ridiculous that, somebody had to do that. But you've got to.
There's 2 things that make me think there. One is just the raft of groups that all somehow unanimously work together, and be it like the first liners, Accessible BlizzCon, Blizz nerds,
the ladies,
the older gamers, ladies of the Con Before the Storm. And it all just comes together, and everybody helps everybody, and all the friendships that come from it. But I honestly had a moment with it, and it led very mixed emotions about the announcement of this weekend being BlizzCon, because not only was there a photo attached to that tweet that was very recognizable. I'm not going to say I took it, but it was very similar to one that I took. But a follow-up tweet that came with it that Sarah Lynn, Tito's, hanging with Tito's at the Fountain is now part of one of my favorite BlizzCon traditions. That was both very humbling and a very, very proud moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, back to the first analogy, that was like getting dick punched by a bulldozer, because it's not happening. Even with virtual BlizzCon Home, or whatever the crap it's called now. I don't know whether there'll be an actual BlizzCon next year. I'd like to think there would be. Let's get past the first one and then see what happens.
I'll tell you what, because I'm cheeky get. Sarah, if you happen to actually watch this, you don't have to tell me, but could you contact Bloke and just let Bloke know? Because comes back to, I think, the final thing that I want for us to talk about. So I said to you yesterday morning, my UK time, next year we've got to do something extraordinary, because after this year we need to do something extraordinary, and I've got no idea what that is yet. I just know that we need to do something. So any advance notice, Sarah Lynn, that we can get, that would be really helpful.
Even if it's just something as simple as a quick cheeky private message going, see you next year. Don't have to even put a date in it. Just let us know. And but as much as I'd love that to be the case,
happy to sign non-disclosure agreements as well. Just to.
It's just such a barrel of bullshit, though. Like, I don't see how anyone can plan for anything at the moment. We were talking about, whatever we're doing next year, we're gonna do it in big sort of way. Honestly, then I think if I took a shit in a bucket, set it on fire, and threw it, all over my own car, still be better than this year on a whole. Hey, Murky, I love that little setup you got going there, bud.
Murky.
There is several plans that are in play for stuff. That's all I'm saying about that in terms of Tito's. Operation Do Stuff, I believe it was dubbed, in a very, very random 3 o'clock in the morning.
Bernie, I mean, he's the wordsmith of the group after all.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The university student amongst us definitely came up with Operation Do Stuff. But I think it's one of those things. If BlizzCon line happens and there isn't a physical convention next year, I would like to think we're in a position that, around this time next year, if there's no BlizzCon and Anaheim gathering's just not a thing, that hopefully we can find somewhere that we can all go and we can all meet up and we can, have a week off from the world and just let's face it, I think we'd just pretty much spend a week just, hugging and crying and laughing. And
that's one huge day bed we're going to have to find.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. Hug.
You just got disgusting mind, Australian man.
Hey, you've seen the pictures of police officer bloke and Bernie in the boudoir. Like,
big spoon, little
weird
spoon.
shit. Sometimes I like to be the little spoon too. No. Just putting that out there. But it's tough. Like, I'd love to make all the plans in the world and say this time, in 51 weeks' time, we'll all be back and all be together and all be lining up at stupid o'clock with hangovers and, all the rest of it. But the fact of the matter is,
we don't know nothing.
You can't realistically say that at the moment.
So what we can do, though, is we can make a promise. One promise. Whenever BlizzCon happens again in person, Club Tito's will be there. And something spectacular will happen because we're going to make it happen.
100%. I will unequivocally say, come hell or high water, Club Tito's will be there, en masse, on numbers. Whether we have anything spectacular in terms of events or anything like that, who knows? Maybe that's part of Operation Do Stuff. But I 100% will guarantee that we will be there and you will know, because you will hear us because as it has been written, you will know when we are near because you can hear it in our chair.
Mm-hmm.
So I gives us all something to look forward to. That's my nuts and bolts of it.
Absolutely.
I am going to go and eat my dinner, I think.
I think this is as good a place as any to pause this. Oh, it's looking wonderful. Sunday dinner.
It's looking cold.
Yeah.
It's looking cold. That's what it
Have
is.
you got a microwave? Because that's what they're for. You know that, don't you?
We call them tucker fuckers here.
In Wales, they call it in Welsh, and I'm not winding you up, a poppety ping.
Oh, what now?
Poppety ping.
A poppity ping.
Yeah, in Welsh.
Well, now you can throw it back at them and say, nah, that's not
tucker
right. That's a tucker fucker. Someone taught me another one the other day about New Zealanders called speed humps judder bars.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because it jutters your car. I thought, well, you know what? That's actually quite straightforward and practical. So now I'm teaching my 4-year-old that they're called judder bars, not speed humps. So I'm going to teach him to call it a poppity ping.
Poppity ping. Right, so for everybody that's joined us this morning, thank you ever so much. We're going to try and do this a bit more regular, and we're also going to try and get that Chavarina back on as well. Get her to sort.
Might even get a Murky. Get a Murky on
You
it.
could get a Murky in. What do you think, Murky?
I think that'd be just us sitting around, talking about nipples for about an hour.
Probably.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm still down.
And Jay, you always welcome as well. You do know that. If you don't, you're an asshole.
See, that'd be another 30 minutes, and it'd just be us two just watching him play.
More than likely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining us. And this has been the Parting Glass, the Club Tea O's podcast, live stream, and potentially YouTube video if I can figure out how all that works as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. See everyone. Bye-bye.